morning. Welcome to Investigator News. I'm your host, Ellie. And boy, what a 4th of July. A shooting and a riot in Akron and shootings all over the country almost. What I want you guys to understand now is they've been having these shootings all along. I've been watching them, and especially in Chicago. Highland Park is known for shootings. Um, and I even had to ask a friend from Illinois, why would they have a parade in a place that isn't really the best place to have a parade? He said, well, they have parades all over in every city. And I feel for the families that went there and I thought they would be okay. You go to a parade, you're supposed to wave your flags and have a good time, not go to a shooting. And they did capture the guy, and we'll see what happens. But the last few, they pretty much just, they made it all over the news for a week, and then it just fizzled out and they went away. Some of them even been let loose. And I feel this is very wrong, very, very wrong against some of our laws that should be in place to keep these guys in jail. And we normally did that and put the bond really high so that they couldn't come back and do this again. And you're talking a lot of gangsters will do these drive-by shootings that are mostly what's heard, not showing up to parades and shooting people, but they will do drive-by shootings and they'll kill kids in the yard. They'll shoot at houses. Not only that, but even robberies. And um, they might the media. I'm not even going to say might. The media are demonizing guns, and this is what they're promoting. And of course, the more they show, the more they're going to just say, see, it's the guns. It's the guns. We need to get rid of the guns. So I'm not all about that. I'm into let's get the criminals off the street. You know, you may not like Rudy Giuliani, but when he was in, he went like Eric Adams should. He should go in and clean up the streets and get rid of the gangs with the guns. If we got rid of the gangs with the guns, we probably wouldn't be having the issues we are today. And maybe that parade never would have happened. I think the Democrats need to start gaining some um, responsibility for a lot of these shootings. If they're not going to clean up their cities, then they ought to be held responsible for the deaths of people. Yeah, clean it all up. Yeah, especially LA. LA's really bad. We had two shootings here over the weekend, and a friend of mine said, I didn't know we had shootings here. I said, yeah, the Little Rock and North Little Rock have been bad since the Clintons. Um, the Clintons called them thugs. They name called it, or Hillary Clinton did. And I don't know if the clip is still out there, but she called them hoodlums and thugs and um, all kinds of mean things about them. So if you get ever chance to see it on YouTube, I'd watch it. And she always has a southern drawl when she's down here. And when she's not here, she doesn't have a southern drawl. So, all right. I'm going to move on with the mystery plane that has happened. It escapes the U.S. and allied fighters. Authorities rushed to see it after landing, but can't believe what they see. Um, it was a June flight, and it took off from Lithuania, according to the Sun. And from there, it flew into the airspace of fellow NATO members in Poland. After that, through Slovakia. The plane described as a Beechcraft two-seater, and then it landed in a small airport in Debrecen, Hungary. By this time, Hungarian authorities were already involved in the chase because the plane did not respond to radio admissions. According to the Romanian journal, uh, ref- the refueling in Hungary, completed just a step ahead of the police, was done with canisters that were aboard the plane. After Hungarian Air Force picked up the trail and followed it, fighters accompanied by two U.S. F 16s. According to the drive, The plane flew so low the jets were unable to intercept it and merely shadow it. The plane then detoured southwest. It flew through Serbia. Not only non NATO countries it visited during the flight. From Serbia, the plane flew west to Bulgaria and then landed in an abandoned airfield in Atogosavite. By the time Bulgarian authorities investigated, they found the plane with the engine still warm, but there was no trace of any pilot or the crew. Bulgarian Ministry defense official Zarkov said the plane entered Bulgarian airspace the beginning of last month, and at no time the plane a threat to civilian or military. It flew in low altitudes, which made difficult to intercept the fighter jets. An odd story: a mystery aircraft took off from Lithuania and illegally entered the airspace of several countries, and the plane later found without no crew. They were not Lithuanians. I cannot say which country from which they may be from. Shortly before its mysterious flight, the plane was sold by Zoronkis, a Lithuanian pilot, the director of NIDA Airport, and said the three men had come looking for an aircraft, and which they say acted very suspicious. And they communicated with these gentlemen in Russian. And he said the plane did not name the organization. And they sold it, said goodbye, and they've been trying to sell it for years, and they had nowhere to keep it. So they were very glad they were able to sell this plane. But all in all, why? And why so low? To me, it sounds like drugs, but they never did find out who it was. They never found the pilots. They just got a empty plane sitting there in Bulgaria. So hello to Susan and Mary, um, um, William, and Karen. And Karen and Mary are our moderators. If you are new and have a comment or question, please feel free to come in our chat room and we'll see if we can get you on the board. Um, so, mysterious plane. To me, it sounds like drugs or weapons or something. If the plane was clean when they got there, and it's just sitting there. So, I bet it gave them something to chase for the day. Biden wins praise um, from Chinese state media for attacking American businesses. Uh, the message to the companies running gas stations and setting prices at the pump is simple. This is a time of war and global peril. Bring down the prices that you are charging at the pump to reflect the cost you're paying for the product, and do it now. And the Communist Party liked this. They liked him saying that. And the and so now he's blaming the individual gas stations, saying that um, it's time for. Um, he said his message to the companies running gas stations and setting prices: it's time of war and global peril. War against the gas stations. That's I don't think he means it war. I think he wants to take them head on and blame the gas stations now for price gouging. Um, and they would put it down if they could. Now the U.S. president finally realized that capitalism is all about exploitation. He didn't believe this before, but now Mr. Biden believes us. And this was by Chin Wahyu. Um, he's the state affiliated media in China. So, a number of prominent figures have since criticized Biden's economic analysis, pointing out that the market forces rather than gas station owners set the prices of the gas. And if he wouldn't be closing down a lot of the pipelines, we wouldn't have this problem either. But he wants to blame it on the gas stations, Trump, Putin. I'm surprised he didn't blame it on Putin and the gas stations today. So, but yes, so now China is very happy that he's finally putting down capitalism and move way for their socialism and now liberal world order has been the new one that they've now added. So it's socialism, liberal world order. And that's what they're doing. They're trying to put the whole world in order and with only a few elites at the top. You know, they've spent more gas on their private airplanes than ever this year, that just this year alone, they have spent more on fuel for these private jets than they've spent in past years. Uh, and you know, it's, yeah, it's not for us, it's for them. The gas is. They're storing up gas. And get this, Obama's even putting um, uh, gasoline pumps on Martha's Vineyard. He's in the process of doing that, so he has his own gas station. You know, he can. I thought he wanted to get electric cars. You know, but yeah. So Obama, we got China praising Biden for going off on capitalism and um, small business owners that are just barely making it and raising the cost. And it comes to us, the consumer. But then we have Obama putting in his own gas station for him and his friends at Martha Vineyard. Of course, we're not going to be able to use it. I mean, we're not going to be able to pull up at Obama gas pumps, you know, the Obama stop and shop and get gas. Yeah, so he's going to blame the dog catcher next, is what William says in chat. You know, and that really does make me very angry that he does this. Um, Now, over the weekend, not only did we have a shooting, but we had um, Formula One driver. The Halo saved him from a very devastating car crash. That's three-car crash that sent him into the wall. And the driver of the Formula One racing car um, involved in a cringe-worthy crash Sunday was posted on social media. And within hours after the accident, citing a safety device for saving his life, did save his life. An incident took place in British Grand Prix at the Silverstone Speedway. Um, Chinese Formula One driver Zhu Guanyu, his car was hit by another vehicle, according to USA Today. The driver, George Russell, appeared to be hit from behind, sending his car into Zhu's Alfa Romeo, and the Zhu's car flipped, and immediately that initial contact skidded, leaving the trail of sparks and into the wall. Uh, it was protected by what's called a halo, a bar that runs above where the driver's seat sits to protect their head. And it was later posted that it was strong enough to keep um, the driver from being injured and able to almost walk away from the accident. So, wow. Yeah, William, you getting, is everybody switching to your side of the table this morning? I think so. So, you know, I like this next one. Omar just found out how popular she is. She gets brutal reception, and brutal. They were booing her, they were hissing, they were name calling her from her own community. And these are Somalis. Uh, Instantly demand she not only leave the stage but leave office. Um, they weren't happy to see her and her far. Let's see, it was Sodan Cr, and they weren't happy to see Republican Ihan Omar at the stage at the Target Center in Minneapolis on Saturday night. How's everyone doing in Minneapolis? Minneapolis, shouted the congressman. And audience members at the sold out venue respond with boos and calls for her to get the F out of there, go home, and resign. The calls begin every time Omar tried to speak. I guess they're not as proud of her as she is of herself. Um, Even though she has been quite beside herself, she continues smiling through the humiliation reception. According to one account, she was booed for 10 minutes or longer until she did leave the stage. And not only that, things were being thrown at her on stage. She was suddenly criticized in April for mocking Christian groups and also mocking a group of Christians who sang worship songs on an Easter flight. Um, so her own uh, her own voters are basically booed her off, threw things at her, and told her to leave the stage and then leave office. So don't sound like she's gonna get it's oh I'm getting yippies and wows in chat right now for this. It's about time. It's about time that these people start getting booed off stage. I want to see Nancy Pelosi next. I want to see them throw ice. Well, I want to see ice cream thrown and booze and hisses and just like what they did to Omar. I want to start seeing this happen with them. Uh, with the whole squad, not just one, the whole squad. T Lob, AOC, I think Burns, the other one. There's a gentleman, and then there's I think Stacey Abrams even jumps in and howls with the squad. So, well, it's not right to throw. I'm talking throwing ice creams, and Mary saying it's not nice to throw things. Okay, I won't throw ice cream at Nancy Pelosi. Okay. I won't do that. I'll eat the ice cream, but I'll boo and hiss at her. so, hmm. All right. So Omar gets booed off the stage, and thank goodness. Hmm. Yeah, it's nice to see people waking up. I think they are. But you know how much you want to bet it was their own voters that did it? How much you want to bet it wasn't Republicans that did this? It was Democrats because they're getting fed up. Um, Boy, now this one here, a migrant tries to escape the border agents and meets death in the middle of the highway. And the thing about it was, this guy was pretty freaked out. And he's an illegal immigrant that tried to run from being arrested to save his own death during one of the incidents in Texas. What they're finding out is um, this guy was taken by a human smuggler that they got him and they got him in custody. But several illegals bailed out of this vehicle and tried to run. What they were doing was escaping. Unfortunately, they did it on the highway and was struck by vehicles that, as they jumped out, other vehicles didn't see them in time, and they were basically hit and killed. One gentleman was hit and killed by a vehicle. A few others were able to dodge the cars on the freeway. And they said this is happening a lot. And what's going on is now they're running. They're escaping. It's not they're just running away. They're escaping. And what they're doing is going back to the border and telling people, don't give your money to the cartel. And they said that one jumped out of the truck. He then lurched unsteadily down the highway where he was struck and killed by an oncoming vehicle. Another ran away as the agents chased him. Although the deaths are more than 50 illegal immigrants in one tractor trailer that captured the American attention, we got them jumping out of vehicles to get loose because they don't feed them. They are squished in little houses. And then they take all their money and only give them just a few dollars to survive, which means they're stuck with these human smugglers for years. And it's what they do. They and it doesn't matter, man, woman, child. If you pay to get through to the United States, then you owe them, and you're going to work and you're going to do what they tell you to do. It's almost like the Uyghurs over in China. And so now we're finding that now, according to Border Patrol, that these two other migrants that were killed, they were riding in the vehicle when it flipped over. And the vehicle was trying to evade police at the time. The two gentlemen were thrown from the vehicle. Um, and what we're finding, like I said, they're going to the borders if they could get away and telling them to turn around and go back. This has, they said, started a trend of at least 42 people um, that at the border basically left with some of these illegals that had been under, well, those cartels called it under contract to work. They loaned them the money and then now they have to pay them back. They just don't tell anybody how severe it is. But now these illegals are now starting to talk, and they're shooing people from the border. They say there's one gentleman that's been there for the last 2 months, that when they come around the Tijuana border, that they're being told you don't want to be stuck here. You don't want to work for the cartel. You don't want to be a slave in a country that they have lied to you. Um, so there you have it, folks. We, this is deadly consequences. If you and they run from the cops instead of running to the cops for help, and they'd probably get away home. Instead, they're afraid of the cops, and no one really knows why. And when I asked my friend down in Tijuana, I said, "Why? Do you have any reasons why they're so afraid of the police officers?" And they're being told they'll be put in jail and they'll go to prison for the rest of their life. And so, of course, they're fleeing for their lives. Uh, Boy, I tell you, why? It's got to be pretty severe to jump out of a car onto a freeway, though. You gotta wonder how bad they're being treated or how hungry they are. Um, you know, um, I so want to stop. I mean, I might do it one of these days and put the camera on these guys, as these people that sit by the freeways want you to give them money. I'm tempted to say, come to my house. You could do some yard work. I'll feed you. I might even give you some clothes and maybe $20 and see if they'll do it. I don't think they will. I don't think the ones that are sitting on the freeways um, they're making hundreds of dollars a day, folks, just by looking sad and holding up a scripture. Don't go for it, because here, even the state troopers here are saying, they go down and they take turns. They're using one car, and they'll go and get the next person. They'll make a couple $100, and then and they all go back to the homeless camp, and then they go to McDonald's and buy food and chicken. And he said they're not hungry, they just don't want to work. So be very careful about giving your money out. I say give them oranges. I said that at the beginning. I used to have an orange video, but YouTube took it away from me. It was how to give oranges instead of money. Give them a bag of oranges, or give them a couple oranges. Give them something that's got vitamin D in it, or give them a sandwich. Don't give them money. Don't do that. All right, Mitt Romney. Um, Boy, he's back in the news. He drops a dark, depressing 4th of July message. Um, and his thing is, he's he says he's an American loving, and he had a message for Independence Day. And the senator and former president nominee, Romney, chose to write a dark, sad opinion piece for The Atlantic, of all places. And it's that America is in denial. And too many Americans are dismissing threats that could prove catastrophic. It's so dark and anti-Trump that even the Lincoln Project co-founder, Rick Wilson, isn't very impressed with his writings. He said, even as we watch the reservoirs and lakes of the West go dry, we keep watering our lawns, soaking our golf courses, and growing water thirsty crops. As inflation mounts and the national debt balloons, progressive politicians vote for even more spending. The ice caps are melting and record temperatures make the evening news. We figure that buying a Prius and recycling boxes from our daily Amazon is good enough when it's not. Um, and when a re-owned conservative former federal appellate judge testifies that we are already in a war for our democracy, that was genuine. And MAGA loyalists snicker as he speaks slowly and celebrated that most people weren't watching. Um, it reads almost like a Rachel Madcow transcript. Who exactly is in denial about inflation? The Biden administration, obviously, but the average American person, when asked, and I have seen these polls over and over. I've seen so many news show go and say, "What do you think of inflation?" And people don't like it, and they feel that it should be the most important thing that the Democrat Party should be looking at right now, and they're not. And they say it's almost to its they're believing it's on purpose. So now their own voters think they're doing this to them on purpose. So yeah, Rhino Climate Freak. Hmm, that's a good name for him. I'd call them other names, but I'd never call them for supper at my house. Um, yeah, I would definitely be calling him late for supper at my house. Uh, but Romney's one that sides with the Democrats all the time. And not only that, last night I heard something. It was a Brett Bear, not Brett Bear, yeah, Brett Bear, I believe, on Fox. He was doing a debate between Bernie Sanders and Graham. And Bernie Sanders was going on and on and on how they are claiming untruths and how November that Trump was claiming that he won. Well, when it got over to Graham and he said, "Do you want to say anything on this?" And he said, "Well, he's right. He totally sided with Bernie Sanders." Now, he could have said so much on what happened in November 2020. But he didn't. He didn't. He denied anything ever happened. He denied that Trump. Um, he denied Trump even the option of being able to look to see if anything had went awry in November. And not only that, but even the possibility of mail-ins that were wrong. He just sided with Bernie Sanders. Time to get him out. I mean, I thought Mick Romney was bad, but when I listened to Graham last night, no, I have no more sympathy for the man. He'll do this, and then he'll jump on all these conservative medias and say, "Oh, how he likes everyone, and how he's all for us, and how the Democrats are ruining everything." And then he jumps right back and he sides with people like Bernie Sanders and votes with the Democrats. Nope, no room for that no more. Time to get him out. Time to send him down the road. Maybe he'll think of what was going on. Um, uh, so we now have even the feds are starting to come forward, and I know I've been telling you guys this for a few days about TikTok. Uh, what could possibly go wrong? They said you are being listened to, you are being recorded in some points, you are going to get hacked if you keep using TikTok. And um, I was surprised when I seen this article. Um, and not only that, but then we hear it come from China. And of course, the Chinese communists that own ByteDance has finally fessed up. They said, yeah, what could possibly go wrong? Um, we have access to U.S. user data. So what? What role do the employees play in shaping TikTok's algorithms? Is there any information shared with the Chinese government? And they said, yes, of course, lots of it. It's a whole everything that you watch or do or even say around the room is being sent to China, the CCP. So even the chief executive officer, Zhu Chu, said on the 30th that none of the information is shared with the Chinese government. Maybe. He said maybe, maybe not. But cybersecurity controls need to be put in place. So, what could possibly go wrong, right? So, now we even have China warning us. Oh boy. Um, and then we got Guatemalan president suggests Biden's letting drugs in from Venezuela to negotiate the oil. So, Guatemala president is now going. I mean, he spoke out against Harris, and he now says, and this is Alejandro Giamatti of Guatemala told News, and with an executive interview last week, and this was with Breitbart, and Joe Biden should take more action to prevent drug trafficking out of Venezuela and to negotiate oil with yet a socialist regime that may be negatively impacting law enforcement. And he said he spoke this over with Kamala Harris, and the point person that should be the one that stops this. And unfortunately, it hasn't happened. They say, in addition to discussing transnational drug trade, Giamatti broached a wide range of topics, including defending unborn children and communications woes with Kamala Harris. So now he has let the cat out of the bag, and he said he spoke to her about the drug trafficking, the human trafficking, the prison system that she wanted to open up there. And this conservative government is acting to intercept the drugs and the best of its ability. And he wanted to know why she isn't helping her own government to stop the problems at the border. He said, you want to know how much we have seized in drugs this year? He said they're poppy plants, and they have passed 9 million kilos of cocaine. And not only that, but he told Camilla this, and that 82 people were arrested for drug trafficking to the United States, and 21 other people for other crimes. And that they blame America for this drug problem. And they said the fault is on the Biden administration in itself, that 50% of the drugs consumed in the world and consumed there are pushers on the street selling drugs. And where does this come from? They say the big banks and the Biden administration. So now he's even come out saying that they're pushing the drugs, and Kamala Harris is not working with him. And how many times has she been down there now? 2 or 3, down to speak to El Salvador, and not only that, but Guatemala and Mexico. And she has hopped every country down there talking to them. And they're not listening to her about the drug issues, and especially fentanyl. Mexican president has spoken to her several occasions on the all not just the fentanyl, but the cocaine and the other drugs that's coming up into the states, and they're just not stopping it. And he says Camilla refuses to talk to him also. So yeah, she is in charge of the border, but she's not even talking to key uh, leaders of these countries to work with them to stop this. She just says what she wants to say. That's what they claim, and then she gets back on her Air Force Two or Air Force One, whichever plane she has, and she flies out of the country, and nothing is ever done. And they said it's increased in their country as well. So not only is it breaking the United States coming into the border, but all these other countries that they go through to get to the United States. They said the massive amount of garbage that's left, the massive amount of clothes that's left, and they just go to the nearest charities and they get all new clothes, new backpacks, new shoes, and they get fed. And then I've even told you about this before. They'll get food and they'll get a couple plates. They'll say, I need one for my mom, or they'll get a couple plates worth, and then they go and sell the plates to people in the back of the line. And they think they have to pay for it. And it's actually, they're getting all that food for free. Why can't they do that at the one of the churches that's got people that need to be fed? Oh boy. So, Guatemala, thank you for bringing that forward to us so we know. Um, the new poll on the January 6th committee is they say it's almost as bad as Joe Biden's numbers at the polls. They said they're sinking 87%, and this is with a 4 point margin. So if you add 4 points to it, you're going to get into the 90s. That people don't care about January 6th. They care about inflation. They care about the food on the shelves. They care about gas prices. They care about paying their bills month to month, and it's getting tight. Um, they're saying now close to $6,000 you're going to be missing this year out of your checks. They say it could be more because when you start adding all the prices going up, it could be more like a lot more, like almost half your checks. I know we're feeling it here in Arkansas. Um, oh boy. So just when we thought they didn't waste our money, they're going to waste more of it. The USDA to spend 10.2 million to test composting plants to cut fertilizer use. Um, if they would just let us grow stuff. But this is what they do. They come up. This is probably going to be the new jobs. Um, they're going to test composting plants. So of course they'll need an office and they'll need a half a dozen people, which are usually the friends of these um, senators and whoever works for the Biden administration. So then they're going to spend probably they like to do 2 to 10 year tests to see if it's going to work or not. Um, and then, of course, all the scientists and their friends that are scientists that they need to bring in. And of course, the new building they get to be put into. And so 10 million, 10.2 million, um, it really won't do us no good for at least, or we'll never hear about it again. Or we'll hear about it when I go through, guess what they're wasting their money on list. Um, the department also awarded 250 million in new grants this summer to promote fertilizer production domestically, not to the farmers, not to the big foundation farmers that's going to mass produce what we see in the supermarket. So, yep. And the basically what they also want to do is um, maybe even spend another $640,000 for crop dusters, not to do nothing, just to fly over to check and see the progress. So now they're going to get airplanes and pilots and testing equipment, and just to see what the fields look like. Another waste of our tax money. And good morning to Linda. Oh boy, I'm ready to go back to um, Omar being booed. I like that one. That was one of the better um, articles this morning. Um, um, Biden's new Green Deal has increased greenhouse gases almost as bad as it was back in the 70s with all those gas guzzlers that we had. Um, uh, so what it was, they found out, and I think I've even told you guys about this one, where during the Trump administration, it was the lowest because of the clean coal, clean gas, clean fuel, everything. But they said, according to the first year of the Biden administration, emissions rose. And in other words, not only Biden energy policy has been a disaster, but they have become more dependent on Russia and Iran to where they don't use the clean products like what we were using under the Trump administration. So now it's made it even worse. And AOC came out, and I'm a sticker to this one. She said that she mentioned a couple years ago during the Trump administration, we only had 12 years left before the planet just gonzo and everybody's gone. Well, that was a few years ago. So now she's trying to do the Bernie Sanders saying we're all going to die in 8 to 10 years. Where is she going to be in 8 to 10 years? I'd like to hear her explanation, like Biden. Not Biden, Bernie Sanders. Because all Bernie Sanders would do is, well, not yet, but we're all going to die in 8 years. He has said it since the 70s. It was something my dad used to show me on the news. He said, get a load of this kook. We're all going to die in 8 years. And that was in the I must say about 70, I'm going to say 76, 77 is when because I was in high school. My dad was showing me this. And he's like, look at this ding dong. He thinks we're all going to die. Of course, we didn't. We got into the 80s, and of course, here it comes again. We're all going to die. Well, now AOC is picking this up. And she said, that according to her calculations, and looking at the Green New Deal, that quite a few years ago, under the beginnings of Trump, that we all had 8 to 10 years left if we did nothing. And since we're doing nothing, then guess what, folks? We're all going to die. Oh boy, here we go again. She's the new Bernie Sanders. Um, like I said, where they? How about that we get them all back in 8 years and say, okay, and we got these neat electric cars. We're putting the solars on our house. We're buying into um, um, the new solar way of living, and we're not seeing much of relief. And now you're going to tell us it's going to be another 8 to 10 years, and we're all going to die? No, I'm about fed up with it. I don't know about you guys, but I've been hearing it since the 70s from Bernie Sanders, and it never happened. It never happened. He just extended another 8 years, sometimes 10 years, decade after decade. And now he's got AOC. Well, you know what? We ought to put her and Bernie Sanders and Omar on the stage, and we need to boo them with Lindsey Graham. So, the Biden regime is now, they're jumping on this liberal world order. Now they're all saying it. I guess it's free to talk about. And the news is even starting to talk about it. We heard it on NBC, MSNBC, CNN, and even CBS is kind of touching on the subject that this liberal world order is in place and that we need to worry about the world as a whole and not just our country, because everybody's hurting. No, I think we need to just worry about us. Um, Did any of you guys? Not everybody watches. I believe it was Fox News. That this 100-year-old vet got on and he said, "This isn't what he fought for," and he was crying and he explained how much he loved the country and how he was proud to be an American and how he went over and he fought for our country in World War II. And he got very emotional and he said, "This is not what we fought for. This is not what your fathers and grandfathers and great grandfathers fought for in this country. That this country ought to be proud of everything she stands for." I thought that was really sweet, but the tears just, I couldn't watch it for long because I was tearing up too. Um, and we thank this guy. We really thank this old guy, 100 years old, and um, his name was Carl Deacle. He was featured on Fox 13, and he basically, um, we haven't got the country we had when he was raised. He said, "People don't realize what they have," he said. And nowadays, I am so upset about it. The things that we did, the things that we fought for, and the boys that died for all of it, it's all going down the drain. Our country is going to hell in a handbasket. We haven't got the country we had. Um, there is not the opportunity, and that's not what they died for. That isn't what we fought for. And he basically had went into uh, just tears after that. How sad! How sad! But he's right. This isn't the country that we've all fought long and hard for. Not only our fathers and our grandfathers, but ourselves, as we thought during the 60s and 70s and 80s, and going past 9/11 into Iraq. And uh, our boys think that this is, uh, they're proud to fight for this country. And it's not what that's not what it's about anymore under this administration. We have probably 80% of the country that's very proud, and probably the Biden administration, their politicians, their friends and family are the ones that don't agree with us. And I think we're going to be proud again. I can feel it. I just know that this country will, when we went under Carter and we seen what Carter did in trying to bring the socialism in, uh, we got 3 terms out of Reagan out of it. It's going to take two or three, it's going to take two to be able to get this country back on track again. Uh, it's not going to happen overnight, folks, but you know what? We showed them once. We're going to show them again. We're going to show them that this country is worth fighting for and that we ought to be proud of this country. And you know what? If we got to, we'll have to put every single one of them statues back up and tell them to quit burning our flags. Oh, that was the other thing he mentioned too, was how sad it was to see um, the young burning our flags, and they should be proud of the flags. He said even when they were protesting during the Vietnam War, that they weren't doing like the protesters do now. So um, the UN is came out this morning and said that the Biden border is the deadliest land crossing in the world. They will be putting out warnings to anybody seeking to come to or go to the United States to seek any type of asylum. It is the deadliest land um, crossing in the around the globe. So now we even got the UN putting us down. Boy, if that don't get you all upset and make you want to eat a box of cookies. Um, uh, yeah, purple thumbs up and paper ballots. Yeah. But yeah, now we got the UN saying we're the worst for the borders. And I thought the Biden administration listened to the UN. I guess not. Um, I mean, this has got so many people depressed in this country. Of what do we do? What do we do? Vote, 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 vote. People vote, vote these people out and get the good ones in. And you got to make sure you do it for your state. Definitely. I could sit around and eat a whole box of Oreos and think about this, and have black teeth, and um, and then I call I'd this is what I'd do. I'd eat a bunch of Oreos, and I'd call Mary and make her face chat with me and scare her. Yeah, I'll tease my hair up and oh, she's, no. Okay. Don't worry, Mary. I won't do that to you. All right. So we are attacking Pakistan, according to the British Army. They said Pakistan is now going to be the next. Now, I've been thinking this was going to happen over the last few years. So why? Well, there's hackers that took over official British Army Twitter accounts, and they verified the Twitter account with the British Army was taken over by hackers who used it to promote NFT and announced a fictitious attack on the Islamic Republic of Pakistan. And it was unclear whether the account had been recovered or not at the time of this publication. And although a large number of NFT, and you want to know what that is? Non fungible token related to retweets that remain live on its feed. And its name reverted back to the British Army from Babsclan, described the hackers as a clan on the Ethereum, the chain by a team with multi-million-dollar experience powered by Change Tech Labs. The hackers have an avatar of a monkey dressed like um, the Phoenix Joker. I guess to me it looks kind of like a really, it looks like the clown off of that scary movie with the clown that's under the bed. It is scary clowns is what, and with green hair, not even red, it's green. So now the British Army have basically said they are going to it's going to be an attack. Now Babs clan, we are attacking Pakistan, and they said, and maybe even the British Army. So there's going to be a lot that has to be looked into this, because if these hackers can get into Pakistan and they can take down their cybersecurity on military members, that's something that we really need to keep our eye on and have British intelligence, MI6, look into this. So, yeah, crazy clowns. Um, So the newest one that Biden wants to do, and it's because of Yellen. Janet Yellen, she came forward and said, "Oh, maybe we did wrong. We didn't, inflation. It was wrong. We shouldn't have done that." Well, now, guess what she wants to do? She wants to get rid of the tariffs um, on China, and possibly releasing the tariffs that Trump put on China, and that Janet Yellen and Gina Raimondo believes that uh, they're ineffective. However, China believes they're effective because they want them removed. And guess what? Jake Sullivan, a Hillary lawyer, if you remember him, believes that believes are effective because they want to remove, and it's because he doesn't want them removed, and the American business and labor unions have now favored keeping the tariffs in place. The administration basically at the cabinet room, and others want to get rid of them, and saying that if you get rid of it, they won't do it no more because they've learned their lesson. And um, and they said it's been unfair trade practices that we are using, and the tariffs, and we're using them as a leverage to ultimately um, um, it was basically to start releasing 180 million barrels of oil from strategic petroleum reserves right up to the midterms. It sounded about right. And the Chinese tariffs, they won't do much to change how much we are paying for gasoline or um, anything that's going on with the trade. All it does is give them more free reign to be able to make more money off the American people in trades. So these tariffs is all about trades. And um, when you talk to Joe Biden about it, he says that China isn't going to do anything harsh. And the thing I don't like with Joe Biden, though, folks, is he's friends with them, and so he isn't fearful. And Tom Cotton came out over the weekend. He said the same thing. He said they just don't have a fear of Joe Biden, and Joe Biden is treating them like it's okay. I thought we were supposed to be going to war with them. The other thing that they're doing is he's pushing this, lowering the tariffs for the green technology with the solar panels. The only thing is, this is made by slave labor with the Uyghurs, and this is unfair trade. That's what I'm going to say. Is this is unfair trade if we're going to let them have the production and us not get it like we were promised. And now he's got Uyghur slaves out there, um, basically enslaved to make these panels for us. And then, of course, it's going to cost more for us to get them from China than it would have been if we were to make them here. Um, and they think this is fair. They think this is really fair. And they said it might be the taxes that they want to hit China with. Well, when it was going back and forth between um, Yellen and some of the ambassadors over there, they were saying, no, there's no taxes. So she is basically wanting to pull the tariffs down, do away with the taxes, let them have our solar panel production, and they're going to put the Uyghurs into to work and enslave them and work them to death. And in Japan and Korea and Vietnam and even Australia, they are looking to this administration to show them a little bit of strength. So they know what is happening not only to Taiwan, but some of these other countries isn't going to happen to them. And now they are saying they have to deal with what they call a mobster or a criminal, and if they show weakness, of course, China is going to move in and take their country. So they're trying to stay strong, and they're wondering where this is coming from with Yellen and the Biden administration. Are they going to be strong enough to stand up against China? And that they're now thinking that Japan and Australia and maybe even the UK are going to be the ones that stand up to China and um, not the US or NATO. So this is, I think, getting very scary for even the Biden administration, or even Tom Cotton sounded uh, pretty riled up when he was talking about it, saying they can't do this. We can't keep giving them all of our jobs, our manufacturing and production jobs, and send it over there for China to do, and it leaves our country with nothing. And he even said that it was Trump that brought back at least in between 20 and 25 manufacturing and production plants back into our country, and the jobs were filling up. So Boy, I tell you, um, there was um, a, a, I want to say it was an exercise, but it wasn't really an exercise. It's a final, like kind of what the UK is doing, where they're getting battle ready. Well, they were getting battle ready, us and Japan. And come to find out, um, China decided they were going to come in and get very tense at sea. And this happened Monday. And they spotted the Chinese warship in what Japan calls the Senkaku Islands. And for the first time in 4 years, Chinese ship has been spotted there. And this started almost a major escalation. And the islands that we're talking about, both Japan and China stake claim to them. Japan calls them the Sunaku Islands. Do you know about this, William? Um, and China calls them Dai Islands. These are a group of uninhabited islands in the East China Sea. And so now, why is China worried about this? Two reasons. Um, they are becoming very frequent to China using them as mid ports or a place to land their aircraft. China, as a partner, Russia, that is now they're moving over to their islands to work with them in partnership, and meaning Russia and China are working together to challenge Japan. And this is not the first time that they have done this. They have been flew fighter jets near or low to Tokyo when heads of the four countries, India, Japan, and US and Australia, were meeting, but they do it all the time. Now, Russian Navy is collaborating with the PLA in the East. And Japan has protested this incursion and told the Biden administration to do something. It says the Senkaku Islands are an inherent part of our territory and historically and under international law, and they need to respond firmly. That's what Japan says. Um, and not only that, but they responded by bolstering up their defenses. Japan is developing hypersonic missiles now. And later this month, the Ministry of Defense will conduct a flight test that will test the engine, the kind that will be used for this hypersonic missile. So they are now looking at um, trying to get Biden to get China and Russia out of those islands. And he said that they won't be there for long. They're just doing an exercise like what we are. But according to what's coming out of China and Russia, they plan on taking these islands. Um, so, um, Arctic power, folks. We got to start looking at Arctic because Antarctica, they split up like a pie and all the countries own it. Well, now they're looking at Arctic power, but there are way less countries they're going to let be a part of this. And um, it's going to be Russia, China, America, Canada, and Norway. Um, and they will be the one racing to take control. Um, and why do they want that? It's because of the resources. There's gold. There's a massive amount of oil that is there. So why is America interested in lots of oil and gas and other natural gas, um, and like I said, the gold and gems? So they are wanting to split this up four ways. And of course, um, the Arctic could hold 90 billion barrels of oil and 669 trillion cubic feet of natural gas. So this is a massive amount. And so why would America even be, except for to go and close it down and make it so no one can uh, get any of the resources out of the ground. Um, Japan said they are willing to share, even with Russia. But Canada and Norway seem to think that it's their territory up there, so they should be the one to own it. So but the thing about it is, if they can get control of it, this would be a better passageway than Panama Canal. Come to find out, um, where they would pass up there instead of at Panama Canal would reduce the cost. It would reduce the time for it to take to get from one side to the other side. So this is one of the reasons. Um, that they say Canada would like to own and control it, to control the port part of who gets through and who doesn't, so they can be fair. Um, they want to call it the Swiss Canal. Lo and behold, they already have a name for it. So it sounds like they're on their way to start doing talks on this and to start splitting it up equally for economic zones. Um, they said they could go beyond that, but they want to start small and start getting boundaries of who would own what in the Arctic. Wow. Well, Karen, they don't want us to. They're shipping. I don't understand it, except for they're just tearing this country down. Why not just put a little bit of effort in leaving this for us to make the solar panels for our own country? Why can't we all make solar panels for our own countries? Why do we need another country to make it for our country when we could put people back to work? So, with that, folks, that is it for today. Please subscribe and hit your share. And, this is something that everything the Biden administration has done is blown up. And it's going to be interesting come November. But find people that will watch those boxes. We got to watch those boxes. If we don't, it's our own fault. Um, so subscribe, hit the bell if you're not getting notifications. And also over in Facebook, please hit the follow and the like. We will be back tomorrow morning um, for the weather show, the morning weather show, and more news. Then tomorrow night we'll have William on and we'll go over some military stuff or what's going on in the military world. Um, so with that, folks, take care. Have a wonderful Tuesday. If you're in the South, stay in. And if you got an extra fan for maybe a senior citizen, try to get the fan to somebody that it can help another person in need. So with that, we will see you guys tomorrow morning. And have a wonderful day and stay cool. Bye-bye, folks.